war between Sudanese army forces led by Abdelfattah al-Burhan and the Rapid Support Forces (RSF), a paramilitary force led by Mohamed Hemedti, Hamdan Dagalo, is fast tearing apart cities and towns across the country, including the capital, Khartoum. The battles have already killed hundreds of civilians and left families more facing shortages of basic necessities. Clearview TV gives us a brief of what led to the present war. Sudan's capital has become a war zone, with surreal scenes of tanks, missile strikes, and plumes of smoke rising throughout the city. The conflict erupted exactly 4 years after a colossal revolution succeeded, against all odds, in removing President Omar al-Bashir after almost 30 years of dictatorship, genocide, and economic pillage. The war created a power vacuum over which the two forces are fighting for. But Sudan is also the tragedy of a country where a reckoning has been long overdue. Last week's event started 20 years ago. In the marginalized western region of Darfur, a rebellion against the government was brutally suppressed by a group of fighters and raiders called the Janjaweed. Bashir, a military man who came to power through an Islamic-backed military coup in 1989, was unwilling to send his precious army into the fray and instead struck tribal and ethnic differences and supported the Janjaweed to act as his proxy. Hundreds of thousands died, women were systematically raped, and millions displaced.
فإننا على ثقة في تجاوز هذه المحنة بالدربة والحكمة والقوة بما يحافظ على أمن ووحدة البلاد وبما يمكننا من الانتقال الآمن للحكم المدني. المواطنين الشرفاء إننا إذ نترحم على كل شهداء بلادي نتمنى الشفاء للجرحى وندعو الله أن يعود علينا هذا العيد وبلادنا تنعم بالأمن والسلام. تحية لكم جند بلادي وأنتم تقدمون أنفسكم فداء لهذا الوطن.
The genocide drew international scrutiny and sanctions, and the International Criminal Court indicted Bashir. But nothing within Sudan changed. The Janjaweed formalized into the RSF and became more powerful under the warlord Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, known as Hemedti, whose ambition grew as Bashir gave him free rein to accumulate influence and assets, as long as he protected him. Hemedti did not keep his side of the bargain, and PB got back on the demands for democracy in 2019, and along with the army pushed Bashir aside.
We want free and fair elections and for the Sudanese people to pick who they want.
There are other protagonists too who have locked in Sudan's fate. The international community applied clumsy sanctions that did little but weakened the Sudanese people's capacity to resist their despotic governments. A cynical cohort of undemocratic governments and monarchies in North Africa and the Middle East backed both the army and militia after the 2019 revolution, in order to extinguish the prospect of a democracy flourishing in their backyard. And lately, Russia partnered the Sudanese militia to extract gold and forge security interests. This disconnect fostered bitter resentment, fractured national identity, and maintained a vast lawless hinterland in which mercenaries and warlords thrived. And so, the brief period of hope that Sudan experienced in the wake of the 2019 revolution was soon thwarted by reality. Slogans calling for democracy, even if they were momentarily chanted across the land, were soon drowned out by demands from the different factions, rebel groups, civilian parties, and embedded elite interests who all had a different idea of the Sudan that emerged after the revolution. I dare to think of the post-war future because something new did emerge in the 2019 revolution. A determination that the Sudanese people would no longer accept military rule, no matter how large a class of beneficiary it creates. That resolve was paid for with the lives of hundreds who have died at the hands of security forces in the last 4 years, demanding the ejection of the army and all militias from power. To that tally, hundreds more are now being added as the Sudanese usher in Eid by sheltering from the bombs and bullets of two parties that never had the people's interests at heart.